Bob, we know you're in high demand. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Oh, it's great to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate your time. We obviously have a lot of ground to cover here. Let's start with President Trump's Truth Social post. He alleged this week that the DeSantis campaign paid you for your endorsement, wondering if the governor's team had committed some sort of major campaign finance violation. How do you respond to the former president, who's also accusing you of spreading disinformation from Democrats?
Well, first of all, I think it's laughable. It's laughable because Donald Trump, better than anybody, knows that my endorsement never has been and never will be for sale. And what he's pointing to, Mayor, I tell people, go read the Reuters article. They did 3 weeks of investigative research, and it was a complete exoneration. It was high praise of how we do things. Everything's in the sunlight. Governor DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott, others, it's a deal that the IRS says we can't give them anything. So if you want to attend one of our dinners, be with a part of our people, you got to pay the price. Or if you want to be promoted in some of our booklets at a leadership summit or Thanksgiving family forum, you know, that's all stuff, but there's no pay for play here. There's no money coming to Bob Vander Plaats. This is all above board and legit. What President Trump is upset about is that I endorsed his opponent, Ron DeSantis, and I think he's just concerned about the endorsement. And so we're going to play and see how this works out.
And speaking of that endorsement of Governor Ron DeSantis, I do want to ask you, though, did you donate $95,000 to the DeSantis campaign? And if so, what is the strategy in giving to a candidate who seems to clearly, not be winning in any polls here and not going to win the primary? What's your strategy?
First of all, I haven't donated. The family leader hasn't donated to any candidate or campaign. Well, we don't do that. That's not how we play. And so what Ron DeSantis did is he earned my endorsement. And how he earned my endorsement is he made the commitment and showed us that, when he wins the presidency, he can serve for 2 terms. He won't be a lame duck on day one. He'll surround himself with the best and brightest people, where Donald Trump, quite frankly, who's going to work for him? Everybody who's worked for him is being sued into financial distress or ruin, and he's shown no propensity to have their back.
And Bob, what are you seeing that the rest of us aren't in the numbers? What are you seeing in DeSantis when you say on his first day in office? I mean, the rest of us aren't following that for the primaries. It doesn't look like he's going to win the primary. So what are you seeing that the rest of the American public and voters are not?
Well, first of all, I'm not buying into the media narrative or the media polls. I'm looking at what's on the ground in the state of Iowa. And I saw Mike Huckabee the same way in 2008, Rick Santorum in 2012, and Ted Cruz in 2016. And quite frankly, DeSantis is well ahead of where all those 3 would have been at this stage in the campaign. His organization on the ground, the county chairs, the endorsement, the precinct captains, the number of people who have already signed up to caucus for him, he looks pretty good in the Hawkeye State. Now, obviously, there's work to do, but the former president knows he looks good in the Hawkeye State, and that's why he's attacking not only me, but Governor Kim Reynolds, and he's putting a huge emphasis on Iowa because he knows that in Iowa, it is tailor-made for him to be upended here. And if Ron DeSantis were to win here, I think it's game on to the nomination.
I was making them nervous. And lastly, sir, I know you ditched your support for Trump earlier this year, saying it was time for Republicans to turn the page. And you said in a radio interview on Monday that you've never met a dad, a mom, a grandfather, a grandmother who wants their son or daughter or grandchild to grow up to be like President Trump. But those feelings clearly aren't stopping him from dominating the GOP field and the polls, which I know you say that you're not following and you're not buying into just yet. But if he does become the nominee after the primaries, will you support Donald Trump?
Well, let's get to that point first. And I think what it is that I'm still a friend of Donald Trump. I consider him a friend. But what happens is that you can trust a wound of a friend. And so I say it's time to turn the page. It's not against Donald Trump. It's for the future of our country. And so that's what we're advocating for. Let's get a bold and courageous leader who can win in 2024 and then who can lead on day one effectively for 2 terms. And I think America's going to come to realize that. And I still think Ron DeSantis can be our nominee.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.